Hello there, my name is Sherri Simpson. Today is Monday, February 11th. So I hope you've had a fabulous February so far. I did a little experiment with gluten in the last couple of days and I wanted to share some of that with you. So I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease probably about 7, 8, 9 years ago now. Hi Cindy, good to see you. And it was Graves' disease of the thyroid. And it's been healed for about 3.5, almost 4 years now. So I want you to know, if you have some health condition, if you have an autoimmune disease or an autoimmune condition, it can be healed. I believe that what we create, we have to be able to heal. So some things that you are born with, you might not be able to have a huge impact with, but if there are things that you've created in this life, in your health, in your body, in your mindset, in your emotions, there has to be a way to heal it. So for me, I realized that eating wheat products, gluten products, was not a good idea for me. And it has been proven recently, not recent, but over the several years, that eating gluten affects some people's thyroid function. So many people who have thyroid issues, whether it's high thyroid or low, it's a very good idea if you have a thyroid issue to stop eating gluten. So I was told by a psychic several years before I even realized what gluten was that I needed to get rid of it. And then when I was healing the autoimmune disease, I saw a naturopathic doctor in Tecumseh out of the Wright Health Clinic. She's amazing. Her name is Sandra Wright. And she ended up saying, yes, you need to give up gluten. Your body is sensitive to it. So what is gluten? Gluten is a protein that is mostly in wheat products because it's a protein in wheat, but it's also in rye and spelt and some of the other grains. So you have to actually avoid it altogether if you have an issue with your thyroid or if you're gluten intolerant, or especially if you're celiac, which means you're severely allergic to it. So how does it affect the body? If you're eating gluten and it is affecting you, then what happens is it's a really sort of rough structure at the cellular level, and you have these things in your digestive system that end up taking the nutrients that your body has digested. So your mouth ends up chewing your food, and it goes down in through the esophagus, and it goes into your stomach, and then the enzymes are called in your stomach, and then it goes into the small intestine. And in the small intestine, you have these little cilia that are in the side of the small intestine. And what happens when you're eating gluten is that if you're allergic to it or if you're intolerant to it, then the roughness of the gluten, let's say this is gluten and these are the little things on your small intestine, then the gluten will actually sandpaper these things off. And then you end up having holes inside of your small intestine where the food that you're supposed to be eating is actually going in to your body. So it's not even staying in your digestive system. And when that happens, you end up getting leaky gut, which means that you have holes in your small intestine where the food is just passing through. But that means that the food that you're supposed to be eating is never getting into the cells. It's never getting into the bloodstream. It's never getting to the brain. It's never getting to the muscles. It's never getting to the nerves, because all of the food that you're eating is floating around inside your body. Kind of gross, right? So for me, I knew that I had to heal that. I had candida, so I was like just craving sugar like crazy, ice cream. I was craving ice cream like crazy. And so I ended up healing that with an essential oil. I ended up giving up gluten, which was kind of a bugger at the beginning, but now there's many more breads that are more natural, and a lot of products that don't have gluten in them are like hard as a rock, because gluten is, Wonder Bread. Gluten is what makes Wonder Bread wonderful. It's that like squishy, lovey, really like amazing textured like softness that you have in wheat bread or in white bread. And so the cats are going a little crazy. I hope you can't hear that. So when you eat products that have gluten replacing the wheat, or sorry, gluten-free replacing the wheat, then they're really dense and they're really heavy. So you'll notice when you're buying bread that is gluten-free, they're little teeny tiny pieces, and each piece is almost like twice the amount of calories of what a regular piece of bread would be, because it's so dense. It's very, very dense, like flour. So I knew that I had to get rid of it, and I knew that I had crazy headaches. I knew that I had muscle tension. I knew that I was constipated all the time. So like my water was not going to the places my water was supposed to be. So what else was going on with me? I had excessive sweating. insomnia like crazy. And so I had all of these issues. I also was getting shingles a lot on one of my arms, like a skin condition, shingles. So I ended up giving up gluten. And again, it took a while, but I sort of weaned it out of my system. And then I had to make some other things in order to speak my truth. I had to make some other changes about setting boundaries and putting myself first and allowing myself to stop doing things that I felt obligated to do, and to stop feeling like I was guilted in doing things, or if I didn't do something, to stop feeling guilty. So I really had to get a check on my thoughts and make myself my own cheerleader and my emotions, and allow myself to actively put myself first, because I ended up being this empty well where I was just giving and giving and giving to other people, but not allowing myself to fill up my own well. So I really had to do that. But this week I did a little test. There were some wheat wraps that were like vegetable wheat wraps that were in the fridge, and I didn't think to put them in the freezer, and I needed to use them up or throw them out. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a test. I haven't eaten gluten in quite a while. I eat it just a little bit here and there so that my body isn't crazy allergic to it. But I decided to eat about 3 wraps a day for about 3 days, just almost like a test. So at first I didn't notice anything. My digestion was fine. There was nothing going on. I wasn't uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I had a headache. I was tired the next day, the next 2 days. But what I did notice was that my skin had changed. So even, it's still a little bit dry now because I've only stopped eating it about 2 days ago now. So my face got really red and dry. I have a couple of pimples now, which I don't normally have. And the skin on my hands was like red, and then it got dry, and then it got cracky, and then my lips got dry and cracky, and I got even more tired. And I found that I was sleeping more, wanting to get more sleep, but I was sleeping less well. So I was waking up exhausted for those couple of days. And so what I found with the gluten is that it's almost as though my body needs way more water in order to digest it. And that made me like really dry and itchy. I had an itchy scalp, I had an itchy back, and my knees actually hurt too, which was really interesting. So it was as though the gluten in my system just for 3 days made my body super dehydrated, super dry, super itchy. And I'm telling you this because most people believe that gluten is going to affect their digestive system. It does not. For some people, yes, but the symptoms for you could be totally different than what you're thinking they're going to be. So if you are eating gluten, or if you're giving it up for a few days, I want you to pay attention to your entire body. Even my thoughts were a little bit more, I was a little bit more like brain foggish, like I couldn't think. And even my eyes were a little bit weird, like I was almost like my eyes weren't that clear. Only for 3 days. It's amazing how that affected my body. So I want you to know that if you're giving up something, like you're going to give up gluten for a month and see what your body does. If you're going to give up dairy for a month and see what your body does, then I want you not to just pay attention to what your gut is doing, because your gut is bringing the nutrients out of your food, but it's the rest of your body that's affected by what you're eating or not eating. So pay attention to your skin. Pay attention to your level of vitality. Are you exhausted? Are you exhausted at 2 p.m? Are you seeking coffee more than normal? Are you super dehydrated? Are your lips cracked? Is your skin cracked? Are you dry? Are you itchy? So I really want you to pay attention to what is going on with your body, because maybe you have some of these symptoms normally and you just think, oh, it's just winter. I'm like, no, I bet you it's not. So I want you to pay attention to what is going on in your body, not just going on in your gut. Because honestly, I thought that eating gluten for 3 days was actually going to make my gut churn. I thought that I was a little bit more gassy. But I'm not like I thought. I thought that I would have stomach cramps or pains. I thought that it would be like uncomfortable, that I'd be bloated. I didn't have any of those. But my skin dried out, my lips dried out, my scalp dried out, my back dried out. I had sore knees. I was exhausted. So please pay attention to the food that you're eating, and even the products that you're using, because sometimes when we have some kind of an allergy, gluten is in everything. Like people paint dates with gluten because it makes them look shiny. People put gluten in things as a filler because it's pretty cheap. because they can actually grow a lot of it quickly and get a really big yield. So it could be in your shampoos, it could be in your cat litter, it could be in your chapstick and your makeup. So you really want to pay attention if you're giving up gluten or if you're giving up something else, that you do the research to see, is it in other things that I'm using, or are there other toxic chemicals that I'm using that are affecting my health, not just the food that I'm eating. So I want you just to pay attention to that. I have currently joined with a company who is doing, they've been around since 1985, so it's not like a brand new company, but they have natural and organic products that you can get into your home, because they have realized over the last 30 years that many people are still using a lot of chemicals in the house. So if you're still using things like Tide and like scrubbing bubbles and bleach, then some of those things could be actually affecting your health, your skin, your I'm hearing your lungs and things like that. So you really want to pay attention to what you're buying, because what you inhale, what you ingest, what you put on your skin and apply, whether that's in the shower, the soap that you're using, or even the detergent that you're using for your clothes, it gets into your body in less than 30 seconds, and then boom, it's in the bloodstream. So that has a big impact on your body and how you feel. It has a big impact on how you sleep and how energized you feel during the day. It has a big impact on your skin and how supple it feels and how hydrated it feels. So I really want you to pay attention to what are you eating, what products are you using in your home, what are you washing your clothes with, what are you washing your dishes with, what are you putting in your mouth, what are you using for toothpaste and things like that. So if you're interested in products that are natural and organic, then I can help you with this and get you set up. But you really want to know what you're using now and what you're eating now. So pay attention to the ingredient list and really pay attention to what your body is telling you, aside from what you think that it's going to tell you. So again, I thought that the gluten would affect my stomach. It didn't at all, but it affected a whole bunch of other things and basically sucked all the fluid out of me, so I felt dehydrated. So I really want you to pay attention to that. Let me know if you're interested in cleaning products that are natural and organic, and you can run it as a business if you want. You don't have to, but it is definitely a good home-based business if that's something that you want to get into. So pay attention to what you're eating, pay attention to what you're ingesting and applying, and the soaps that you're using and all of that, because it can all impact your health. If you have any comments or questions about that, I look forward to connecting with you soon. Namaste.